Greetings everyone, this is the Hipster Snek. I already mentioned fairly early on in this channel's life how much I love the first Legend of Legaia on the PS1. I mean, I can understand if you have trouble believing that, as that video also makes me sound a bit like a robot, but hey, you live and you learn, right? Legaia only ever merited a single sequel, and much like the first game, it had the extremely unfortunate timing of coming out in roughly the same time and place as an overrated Final Fantasy sequel. Yeah, sad to say that it wasn't even delivered its death knell by a good installment, but I'm tipping my hand just a bit there. Legaia 2, Duel Saga, a subtitle I forget more often than not on account it's absolutely meaningless, came out in the English-speaking world in 2002 exclusively on the PS2. Developed again in-house by Procyon, and it's the perfect example of taking what was right about your first installment and making it count all the more for the second. The game has a larger roster of playable characters, a more robust equipment system, an overhauled magic system, and best yet, a new way of handling how the arts, combos of chained together directional inputs for attacks, get executed. First of all, the game looks sharp for an early PS2 title. Sure, the game takes shortcuts with its presentation, but it ultimately parallels what the first game ended up doing, and keeping it simple where it can, and getting more detailed when action is the main focus. Everyone looks distinct, including a less than subtle continuity nod in the form of the main character, Lang, looking an awful lot like Vaughn from the first game. That's not really story pivotal, but an amusing aesthetic choice. The monsters are all cool and really well detailed, and while the game does do away with armor changing how you look in battle, the swords do change as you power them up, so you'll only see minor changes as you progress. The arts animations in particular are spectacular to see in motion, looking really kinetic. Rather than just being martial arts, each character fights in a slightly different fashion, like Lang and Sharon being sword fighters, Kazan battling with his fists. In fact, let's take things slightly out of order and talk about the cast next. Lang is eventually joined by other heroes, like Maya, the mute girl with healing magic, Kazan, the super cool kung fu grandpa who in any other game series would have been killed off at some point, but is so awesome that he doesn't. No, seriously, that sounds like it's a joke, but it isn't. He joins you 10 levels higher than you'll be when you meet him, his magic is insanely strong, his arts combo together in a terrifyingly smooth fashion, and he only needs 2 equipment pieces. In any other RPG, he might as well just have an "expiring today" sign slapped on his back, but he is just purely raw awesome that the game never takes him away from you after he joins. Anyway, there's also Sharon, the shameless pirate captain who can command lightning magic, and Ein, the worthless one. Whatever, it's not worth worrying over. Seriously, don't use him. He is the worst character in the game. Literally anyone else is superior. His combos are terrible, he never learns magic, his equipment doesn't help him much at all, and he has zero personality to speak of. So just don't. Next up, the game has an amazing soundtrack. Seriously, the first game had great music, and this one surpasses even that. It even includes a remix of some songs from the first game, like the Voss Forest theme, that queues up in a few of Legaia 2's forest zones, for instance. Every scene is set perfectly with accompanying audio, especially now that the world map moves point to point, rather than having to slog across miles and miles of empty space. Now, a thing this game is commonly dinged for is its voice acting.
That must be... just like that man.
He's cowering at the power of our origins.
Don't forget, Marianne, it's only just begun. Now, let us engage you in our dance of death.
But I want to present a point-counterpoint kind of argument. Yes, Lang has a high-pitched, whiny loser voice, one might argue. Aha! But you see, dear reader, that's the beauty of it. Lang is a whiny loser who deserves a high-pitched voice. It's perfect for his character, and he begins the journey as a cocky greenhorn with no sense of scale or proportion of the world. And Kazan is a crazy Asian stereotype because he is that. And Maya is the cutest, sweetest thing in the world, and she sounds like the cutest, sweetest thing in the world, and if anything were to ever happen to her, I'd end the lives of entire kingdoms, everyone present, and then myself. Let's talk about the gameplay. The art system was vastly improved upon to encourage devastating combos. They operate similarly to the first game, where you input a series of directions for high, low, and side attacks, which can chain together into specific moves known as arts. That's the bulk of the gameplay in a nutshell right there. Whereas all arts of all types cost AP in the first game, oftentimes causing conservative players like myself to spam non-arts combos to avoid wasting any, regular arts in Legaia 2 add action points, or AP, and super and hyper arts spend them for a bigger damage payout. This encourages building combos that can dish out big damage while, at the same time, stocking up on AP to execute progressively bigger attacks as the battle goes on. This is helped tremendously by the new equipment system. In the first game, you had a weapon, helmet, body, and leg slot, and 3 accessory slots for your customization. Now, this varies a bit more depending on each character, with Lang and Sharon being equipment heavy and Maya and Kazan being less so. And again, don't use Ein, who cares? But now accessories can be fused together. See, accessories now gather XP as they're worn, eventually unlocking more secondary effects. When 2 maxed out accessories are fused, you can get subsequently rarer accessories with more and more abilities, even sometimes unlocking rare abilities you can't get until later into the game by this method. And now, each character has an equipment weight limit, which goes up as you level up, so you can actually equip however many accessories you want, limited only by your equipment's total weight. This means you can customize however you want, in addition to armors and weapons having secondary effects not present in the first game. Like Lang has swords that can deal status ailments to enemies, or late game armors can even give status resists, or other passive perks like HP regeneration. It makes it so that every upgrade feels like a meaningful step forward in your playtime, and that's a fantastic feeling. And on top of all that, you can now get material items from certain monsters and, while camping, use them to power up weapons and armors to supplement trips to the shops. I know it's a common complaint nowadays that so many games have crafting systems, but I'll be honest, I just don't agree with that argument. The mechanic works fine, it's helpful, optional, and fun, so that's all that matters. Related to this is the cooking system. Some items, those ones labeled with a little carrot icon next to them, can be prepared at campsites that give you passive perks depending on the dish that you make, each lasting for a set number of battles after you leave camp. This is a great way to account for character weaknesses, such as Maya's naturally low defense, or to accentuate strong suits like bolstering Kazan's already ludicrously high attack stat even further. As your characters gain XP, so too do their spirit guides, the origins. As they level, the potency of their spells increase, and at certain increments they'll unlock new additional spells. While not super vital and certainly not game-breaking, it takes the RNG out of the Saru system, which is good for character consistency. Speaking of building your character, you can also collect nicknames, meaningless little titles you can earn for yourself by speaking to certain characters or partaking in the game's innumerable mini-games. Try to see what cool ones you can find for yourself. Next, let's discuss the game's story in our usual spoiler-free, casual style. The game begins with Lang joining the Vigilance Corps, a small police team that patrol the nearby hunters' wood for monsters, help hunters gather game, and ensure public order. Their humble peasant village of Knoll is kept safe by the Corps and by the presence of a magical blue stone, the Aqualith. This constantly provides the town's lake with clean, fresh water. However, when a mysterious man with gold-colored eyes brandishes the terrifying power known as a stand— an origin, the Corps is decimated and Lang just narrowly survives the encounter, only to regain consciousness to the fact that their Aqualith was taken from them. This sets Lang out into the wide world to save his little town, until he soon realizes that the existential threat encompasses the entire world. Thus, he heads out with his new friends and newfound powers to retrieve the Aqualith and save the world. Simple as that. It's been almost 20 years since this game came out, and I gotta say the winner of that particular early PS2 RPG decision was not the better of the two games. Legaia 2 is an amazing game with complex, nuanced systems, a straightforward and entertaining story, fun characters, great writing, solid gameplay, and never wasted a single hour of my limited lifespan with subaquatic subpar soccer. It's an amazing game that got overlooked due to the tired "my graphics can out-graphics your graphics" argument that was still being drawn out at the time. If you get the chance, you absolutely owe it to yourself to pick up and play Legaia 2. It's worth it. Yes, it's campy. Yes, it can be very silly, but that's part of its unique and earnest charm. Look past that and you'll see a tight, mechanical experience that you've been missing out on all this time. Play Legaia 2. As always, this has been the Hipster Snek. If you liked what you saw today, you can tap that conveniently placed like button to let me know as such. If you want more weekly gaming goodness, tap that subscribe and bell icon too, just below. And if you really want to go the extra mile, leave a comment below telling me what you thought of today's game. Join me next time for more obscure gaming goodness and indie excellence, and I'll see you there.